Welcome back to Close Encounters of the Tech Kind. I'm John, coming to you from an on-site location with critical infrastructure, trying to protect how our world works and keep it safe. Today we've got some awesome topics. We're going to be talking about Windows updates and how they're now free, except to us in the U.S. Wearable IT had a catastrophe this week. That's going to be a fun one. Jackson, you got that story.
Oh, yeah.
Cars, they went to like tablet view, like airplanes have an all glass cockpit. Cars are trying to do the same thing. Well, manufacturers are now reversing that decision because consumer feedback. It's a good thing. Consumers should feedback. We've got a topic of government IDs and mandatory age verification. That's going gangbusters. The conversation's heating up. We'd love to have everybody listening to this get into that conversation, not just in our comments. Please do comment, but not just in our comments, but talk to your legislators, talk to the people around you, make everybody aware your position and your stance on this. It's important. And then there's a fun one if we get a chance at the end. Did you guys see that YouTube streamer that hooked up 12 modems and dial up the internet and streamed YouTube across a shotgun of a modem?
No, but I
That one was cool.
heard about it.
I look forward to
Mike,
learning more.
Jackson, Artie, shall we get into this?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
All right. So first up, we're going to talk Windows updates. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. The European Union has pushed Microsoft to the edge and beyond. Somehow I want to make a joke about Edge browser, but I'll stay that. Microsoft has capitulated, and they're making updates free for all of Europe. Not us here in the US. How does that make you feel?
Well, it's a step in the right direction, right? Europe is often kind of on the leading edge of the whole consumer rights thing as far as technology goes. So we'll see if it makes its way across. We'll see.
Now, I wonder if that applies only to European Union members or if it is actually all of Europe. So like, England doesn't get it or Switzerland doesn't get it, but the rest of Europe does.
Well, if I was a betting person, the EU said do this, and those countries aren't members, so got to get with the EU. It's like collective bargaining, but backwards.
So it looks like Microsoft will provide a no-cost extended security updates option for Windows 10 consumer users in the European Economic Area, the EEA. So I actually don't know what the EEA is, but for those of you who care enough to know, it's there.
That might include Britain. I'm not sure.
It does not include Britain or Switzerland.
Okay.
Cool. So we have a couple allies in this argument with Microsoft to say, no, extend it for free. Windows 10 is going away. And I think people are catching on to that because we got just a couple weeks left of this. And then Windows 10 is into a paid subscription model. I don't know about you guys, but I have a machine on Windows 10 that has to be on Windows 10 because I've got software that needs to run for critical infrastructure, what I'm doing up here.
I mean, there are still systems that are running XP because the software has not been updated, and it's required for critical infrastructure. I mean, if we really get down to the bolts, nuts and bolts of things, there are some governmental agencies that are still running on the, what is it, 11.5 floppies?
It's only two sizes, 3.5. No, I'm sorry, there's three sizes. 3.5, 5 1/4, and 8-inch.
Okay, then the 8-inch ones.
I got weird looks walking around telling people about my 8-inch floppy. I didn't.
Man.
It was one of those times I was not paying attention to the people around us in a conversation. We're out at lunch somewhere, and I telling people, true story. I've got a sealed box of 8-inch floppy disks, new mint in the
Wow.
box. Well, we were talking about 8-inch floppies, and the table next to us stopped, and they were staring at us like, this is not a conversation for polite polite topics, right? Like,
That's funny. Well, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we found out that what the U.S. government was still using paper to retire people or whatever that was. So, I mean, there's a lot of critical infrastructure, including inside of the U.S. government, that requires older operating systems. I'm aware of uh, several systems within Brigham Young University that run on older operating systems. You know, they're air gapped, which is much more secure. But I mean, that software can only run on Windows XP or 95 or whatever. And I think it was a miracle that somebody was able to upgrade one of the systems to Windows 7, or maybe they even got it up to 10. But I mean, it is a lot of work to get some of this older software that, I mean, it works just fine, but to get it up and running on newer operating systems.
I was going to say punch cards are typically air gapped.
Especially when you drop them.
If you want to make
Yeah.
somebody's life really interesting, take their stack of punch cards, pull one, and put it back in the wrong spot.
That's how you encrypt your source code, right?
I found the way
man.
around that for quick sorting. You can take and cut diagonally across the line of punch cards.
It's just Sharpie.
There's that too. Number them physically, but then again, if you've got like 40,000 punch cards for your for your like 1 kilobyte program.
One would think the cards would have an inherent identity on them, just like this is card 1 of whatever, or just serial number 1. Oh,
If
well.
they put the serial numbers on it, what happens if you mispunch one of the ones in sequence? Then that number is going to be missing. So you'd have to do it after you punch it, or while you punch it.
That's what I'm saying. While you punch. I mean, you're on a computer. You should be able to use that computer to solve this problem.
They may not have wanted ink in the system.
Who knows? Well, I mean, fortunately, Windows Update doesn't affect punch cards. Love that trip down memory lane, though.
You guys are out here solving problems we solved 20 years ago.
40 years ago.
Or 40, yeah.
Although, some embroidery machines still use punch tapes.
Really?
I recently gave support to somebody that had an embroidery machine. You had to go from the computer to floppy, and then there was a machine that used floppy to punch tape. And then
Oh
you
my
feed the punch
goodness.
tape into the embroidery machine.
Interesting.
But it's not a modern machine, is all we're saying.
It was relatively modern. I mean, it 10, 15 years?
Still using floppies?
Punch
Oh.
tape.
Well, you had to use a
a lot
floppy
of
to get to
embroidery
the punch
machines still
tape.
use floppies. Only the most recent ones, I think, have been upgraded to USB.
Upgraded to smoke signals.
I guess I would know. I'm not much of an embroiderer myself, but
Spend a few years working in embroidery.
There's a
You have,
lot
you
of
said?
old systems, and that goes to the kind of the point of OT, the operational technology. If you got a system that works, why fix it? The evolution, we're trying to push past things. You guys have seen 512 gigabyte thumb drives. Well, that's a lot of data. Do you need that unless you're doing video? You know, we're pushing
not?
we're pushing our technology to bigger and better things always, and sometimes it feels like a solution without a problem.
They're creating their own
To-
problems, I find, because in my experience, without the constraints of the system, people will just program and just leave the garbage in there, and it's why you get, a game that would run perfectly fine at 10 gigs going up to 50 gigs because they don't want to remove things. They don't want to compress the textures. They don't want to have a lot of the things in there to streamline it.
Well,
optimize
I
it.
have heard of games where the developers have to leave, like, artifacts in the level.
Oh yeah.
I forget the name of it. There was one that had a room off to the side. You can't get to it. You can no clip to it if you were capable of doing it. And somebody asked the question in their developer meeting, "Why is this room still here?" And they said, "Every time we delete it, the game crashes."
Yep.
Uh,
It's easier to leave it in there than it is to fix the problem.
it's like one of my favorite little cartoons is like, me when I run my code and it doesn't work and they're like losing their minds, like, why doesn't it work? And it's like me when my code works, and it's like, why does it work? Like, has no business being that's the cause of the issue, is that there's some random room that needs to be in there,
And that's especially true
Oh,
when
and
you
it
haven't changed anything in the code.
right?
it gets worse because when you're in IT professions, um, your IT guy's sitting there in the middle of the office and everything's working. What are we paying him for?
To keep
Systems
everything
blow up.
working.
Nothing's working. What are we paying him for?
And then there's the
Well,
Murphy's Law thing of as long as he's there, nothing is broken. As soon as he goes to lunch, everything stops working.
yep. John, I wanted to respond to your one point where you're like, well, if there's nothing wrong with it, or if it's not broke, why fix it? So I take that standpoint a lot, but actually on the other end of it, I'm usually saying, if it's not broke, why am I going to fix it? Well, I'm going to make it better. I'm going to improve it. I'm going to make it more functional, or yada yada yada. That's like me as an engineer. That's the way I see the world. But I do take your side of that, where it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. When it's something like OT, when it's that critical infrastructure, because the thing is, for you to quote unquote fix it, there's a lot of debugging that has to go through that. And then when you're talking about like a real time system that's constantly running and it's mission critical like that, the downtime, or the process it would take to reduce the downtime from going from an older system to maybe a new and improved one, is often not even worth the cost, right? Of saying, okay, oh well, this system's better, and it's like, well, the other one does everything we need it to. Sure, maybe there's a couple of inefficiencies here or there, but just that one event of trying to do a switch or something like that, sometimes that is immensely expensive in all of the senses.
It really is. I mean, it's all a cost benefit, right?
It's not
Yeah.
as simple as just recompile the code. Compile on the newer system. Well, yeah, but then there's deprecated functions that don't even exist anymore. Things have been removed, things have been changed. We changed, something went from like a library went from being procedural to object oriented, or vice versa, or something like that. And it's just like the syntax has changed, additional
Somebody deleted the room.
parameters. Yeah. Or the room is now a house, not a room anymore. Like now you can't delete the whole house. I don't know. Like I've had instances where it's like, oh, I've got this really old code from back in the day. I'll just get a compiler and just compile it. Well, and then you end up with 584 errors of things that don't work. And so then you start playing, bug smasher. Let's just nail each one at a time. Well, you fix one, 10 more pop up because now you broke something else.
Oh yeah. But I think it goes without saying, I think we all kind of hold that same idea of, yeah, let's make it better, but let's not at the cost of functionality. When that's the case, you know. So it's kind of a tight line you have to walk.
Well, let's jump over to your story you found. Speaking of broken and fixing things, somebody got their finger caught in a ring and it kept them from a plane, right?
Yeah, this is actually pretty funny, and I'm seeing these are more common. I've actually met people like I actually saw like, you know, you see the ads for like, oh, this ring will track your activity and whatever, and I'm like, no one's gonna buy that. But now I've started actually meeting people who have these like rings or this wearable technology. You know, smartwatches have been around for a long time, and those are very popular. But something like a ring, what's scary is exactly what happened to this guy this week. Um, so a passenger couldn't board his plane because the battery in his ring actually expanded and like cinched down on his finger, and he couldn't take it off. And you know they won't let you through the metal detectors or whatever with the ring on, with a battery on it, and especially not an expanded one because that does kind of become a fire hazard. And so obviously he missed his flight, had to go to the hospital, and they had to remove it. They couldn't cut it open because you know you can't really cut through batteries. So I mean that's like a whole thing you probably never consider of like, yeah, this ring could just turn into like a chokehold on my finger at some point.
Hmm. Thank goodness
So
it's not like a necklace or something like that.
Yeah, right. I mean, I have seen some technologies where it's like a pendant type of a thing, and like you know the worst that happens is the battery like actually catches fire, but like an expanded battery at that point probably wouldn't cause you any immediate harm. But I mean, you gotta keep an eye out for these things. It's a thing that happens.
I've legit thought of getting one of those rings because I can't stand watches on my wrists. I keep breaking into things and scraping things, and like I'll wear a watch and it will somehow rip itself off my arm magically over the course of a few days. It's not just embarrassing, but it's annoying. But rings, I could do that. And, you know, it wouldn't interfere with my sleep. It wouldn't interfere with, you know, working on small spaces down inside computers. It wouldn't work. It would be great. But every ring I've come across has a cloud connected app to help monitor my health. I just don't want that. I want something in my phone, on my phone, runs on my phone, doesn't talk out, doesn't share telemetry. I don't think that exists. And now I've got a good reason not to because I want to keep all my fingers.
I know. Imagine if you like didn't have immediate like. Luckily, he's in an airport. I mean, they have their own police, and you know, there's EMTs nearby. There's a way to like get help pretty immediately. But I mean, imagine if you're like out on vacation. Maybe you're in the middle of a hike, and all of a sudden, you know, you hear a little hissing sound from your finger, and you're like the battery catches fire. Like, what are you gonna do? There's nothing like you just well, that finger's gone now.
The battery decides it does not like the high altitude mountain hike that you're doing. And the higher you go, the worse it gets. That's
Yeah, and I trust most of these companies who are making these rings are doing, you know, putting them through extensive testing. Um, but I mean, you can't test for everything. I mean, this type of stuff is kind of just random.
you'd think there'd be something like a safety breakaway or something that they would put into that. I don't know.
Then you ruin the aesthetics, Mike.
You know, the ring's made of solid titanium and can withstand a semi truck being parked on top of it. So, jaws of life is not getting that off your finger. How did they end up getting it off?
Let's see. He went to the hospital, and they used good old fashioned ice to stop his fingers from swelling, and then they have some sort of a medical lubricant to just slip it off, I guess.
Use one of those blood
So.
pressure cuffs on his finger.
I think the ring became the blood pressure cuff on the finger.
What an interesting time we live in where our accessories can be lethal. You know, and that's one of those points. Like you mentioned, they ran it through all the tests. You know, extreme environments, extreme vibrations. I'm sure all these devices are going through that. We live in a day and age where the one case or the two cases make national news. So never mind that they made like 10 million rings. One blows up. Now everybody's afraid.
Yeah, it's got to be one defective battery cell or whatever that just slipped through the
I'm
cracks.
afraid. I'm not putting that ring on.
Yeah.
So
It happened once to one guy.
Here is I hadn't gotten this far earlier, but here's a good spot I just found in this article. When the guy was talking about his experience with the ring, right? It's a Samsung ring, and he said that he had gotten it in January of this year, and it had been having battery issues for several months, and it would rarely keep a charge for more than a day.
Well, that's your first sign right there.
That's the first. As soon as like phones, and this used to be really common back in the day, and I think battery technology has come a long way since then. But this was super common in older phones. Batteries would expand all the time. Like they wouldn't be able to hold charge, and this still is a prevalent issue. Like the fact of the matter is that batteries are imperfect devices, and they lose functionality over time. Now, sometimes they can lose that functionality in fun ways, including large chemical reactions. Sometimes these are inert, in which they just cause an expansion, and then the chemicals in there actually start reacting and they release gases, and that's what an expanded battery is. But other times, like if you puncture a battery and you expose that to air, that thing can just spontaneously combust, like without an issue.
Please do not puncture any of your batteries. That is a bad idea.
This is not a thing you want to find out about.
Yes. There are plenty of videos on YouTube.
I punctured a battery
Go
on
watch 'em.
purpose to see what would happen, and it did nothing. Just saying.
What
Had
kind
a
of it
camera
depends on
set
what
up
kind
and
of a
everything.
battery.
So do not trust this
Old stuff
outlier
involved.
as an actual source, because many times when you puncture a lithium battery, you need to get hazmat involved because it is considered hazardous materials, and it needs to be handled
No,
properly, or
We
you
disposed of
and
it
people
right.
around you can be poisoned.
We disposed of it right. Don't worry about that.
I gotta say it for the people watching.
It's really interesting that they caught that before he got on the airplane instead of after, because once you're on the airplane, now you're going to ruin everybody's day. I mean, and there have been in recent times, there's been some issues with them having some of these kinds of fire incidences with cell phones or a laptop computer or something like that, causing a problem on the airplane. And it's, a smoke-filled cabin. It's an emergency divert to land somewhere immediately so that they can get taken care of. It's, plus whatever, and thank goodness that they got it off and his finger's okay. Because like I was thinking, if they can't get it off, then he might be losing a finger over it, and that kind of stink to say, I lost a finger because of this stupid ring,
Yeah. I mean, the point from this one is like not necessarily that stay away from this kind of technology entirely. I mean, up to your own discretion. If you want to risk it, go for it. I don't think it's certainly a very small risk. I think anytime you get into a car, you're probably taking a bigger risk than, deciding to wear a ring. So take that for what you will. But I think the point to take from it is like the device was showing issues long before this happened, and I think this failed in a quite nice way to him, because he said, right, it was over several months was having battery issues. This one you should say, okay, do I want this failing battery on my finger, or if it's on your phone, like, do I want it in my pocket all day long?
To defend the guy, those things aren't cheap.
No.
Yeah, but for the amount of money you're spending on it, come on, get some technical support or some customer service or something.
An RMA or something.
Exchange it or troubleshoot it or something,
It also would depend upon how integral it was to his life, because if you've got like your phone, most people can't go like 2 or 3 days without their phone because of all the information that we've got on them these days. So,
My
if
kids
that thing
can't go 15 seconds without their phone.
well, it's
I mean,
a matter
they
of
start
getting it repaired. It's too much time for some people.
Okay, if you're that dependent on a ring, you might have some other issues.
It depends on what it does. I don't know all the
It's true.
functionalities of
If it is like an actual like health, like if it's imperative to your health, then yeah, that's a really important thing. That's a good point.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
gonna come out and say it, guys.
find a backup
Right to repair.
solution.
Definitely.
Right to repair. If he could replace his own battery for $50 instead of buying a new ring for 400 or whatever that cost.
I would also add, design it so that the battery is not against the back and it can be taken out from the front.
That's super hard.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
A ring
Just-
is such a low profile thing anyway. I mean, there's got to be some special engineering that they've done to make that battery fit that footprint, to fit that
yeah, and it's
size and shape and everything. And so I don't think it's
Super-
as
super
simple
compact.
as just we'll change the battery, make it so you can change the battery. I mean, maybe there is a design out there that could allow you to do that. I don't know. I'm not into that sort of thing, but I don't know. Like I'm with Jackson. Like I don't know if there's anything that ring could do that some other device couldn't do, at least for a short period of time while I got his replacement. I mean, and if the company is really nice, they could send the replacement first and then have them send back the defective unit. Get set up on the new device, send the old one back, then they can figure out, okay, what went wrong with this, and I don't know.
Yeah. And I think if it's something that you're depending on that much, I don't excuse me. I don't know if they do actually sell these to be like medical devices, because medical devices have to go through like some serious testing to be able to be sold as
There's
such.
standards I'm sure that they have to
There are
meet.
standards. And
Yeah.
I don't know if any of these are actually being sold as underneath that kind of umbrella, which
In fact, I would bet that there's
Not the Samsung.
disclaimers that would
Mhm.
say so, that this is not an official like medical device for whatever.
So I guess
Yeah,
there's your
Samsung
answer.
does that. You by agreeing to their app realize it is not medical, it is not life-saving,
Mhm.
it is not any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That
with
said,
that
they'll talk
comes,
about it.
yeah, with that disclaimer comes, if you're buying it, don't depend on it. They're telling you right now, it is not 100% dependable. So there you go. Do your research before you buy something like
Yep.
that, if it is imperative to your health.
Exactly. Well, speaking of health and safety, cars are getting rid of the glass panels. We're actually going back to physical buttons. I remember an advertisement for, was it Dodge? They were talking about you can use all the instruments in the car. You can push every button while wearing your work gloves. And the idea was, people that need heavy trucks are usually doing work, and, more than often you're going to have gloves on. So you should be able to interface everything with a gloved hand. And now we got into glass. I like this step backwards. It's a good step.
Yeah. I think my parents, they have like a 2016 model car, and it's like, it was that time where it's like half and half, like where there's a screen that does like all your audio, and like one thing that's so irritating is like, like the recirculate option in your car.
Mm-hmm.
In my car, which is an old beater, it's just a button. It's either on or off. Hers is like a 3-part menu to get to a button that you then push that brings up a new menu that says, would you like it on or off? I'm like, I just give me a button. Like, it's a binary thing. I don't know why I need to go through 3 menus to get to some simple option like that. And so, I mean,
That is a safety hazard. That if it requires you to focus more than a couple seconds of attention just to get to the function, then I can understand why this change to go back to just regular push buttons and knobs is a thing. Because that's
And
ridiculous.
I'm surprised it took us this long. I mean, she has a 2016 model car. It's been almost a decade, and now we're like, oh, maybe we shouldn't, have people staring at a screen while they're driving, just to turn the AC up.
Well, and I've been in cars where they have confusing language, like recirculation, and say, "Would you like to disable the recirculation?" And the checkbox is enable or disable.
Right.
It's bad design. Bad
Yeah.
design. It's a mix of
See it all
bad
the time.
idea and bad design. Bad idea was let's put a screen for your controls. Bad design was now it's a puzzle to get where you want.
I've got one in my car, and the irony is it pops up a screen saying, using this while you're driving may be dangerous. Don't drive and use this touchscreen.
Yeah, you have to use it while you're driving to navigate or whatever. Like, that's the thing is that
It's a
I
known
was
problem.
I was just thinking of the fact that, we always used to joke around that, whoever sat up in the passenger seat up front, they were the co-pilot, right? Well, no, you literally need a co-pilot now. I'm going to focus on the driving. You get to run all these systems to make the car happy and everything, make sure the environmental controls are set right. Let's turn on the navigation. You figure out the navigation, set the radio, tune it to the music that we like. Cause I can't focus on any of that. I got to drive. I got to look at the road and drive the car.
I am
So-
all for
so-
that. It's my favorite is to when I get to just focus on driving and getting around all the other stupid people on the road, and I just have my buddy or whoever it is, they're running all my music and systems. That's the best way to do it.
So my wife was helping me, and I looked at her and said, "Transfer power from life support to engines." She looked at me. It's like, "Don't say that way again." And just turned off the air conditioner, and then we had power. It was great.
I would get like a 5 horsepower boost in my old was an Accord. You could it was a significant difference. You turn on the AC.
It does. It's true.
It was good.
I'm waiting for the disclaimers that say that this car requires 2 people to operate.
I know.
It's like the 2-man lift boxes.
Yeah.
It's like an airplane cockpit. You need to have
You
the
need to be
pilot,
a-
the co-pilot, and then the navigator back there.
You need to be a licensed co-pilot for this car.
Well, I'm curious. I was sitting here thinking about this. So if they're getting rid of the screen, right? I think when the screens first came out, the thing was it was taking what used to be like a GPS that you would mount on the glass that was its own unit, and okay, now the GPS is integrated into the car. Cool. I feel like that was kind of. I know now I would never use it. I hate it. But when GPS was new, it was oh, this is so cool. I have a map in my car. But I feel like I mean, what else do you really need a screen? I don't know what additional options.
I
you
know
really get.
there's cars out there where it's like your gauges and dials are now a digital display.
I hate that too. I absolutely
And
hate it.
I don't know that I like that either, but it's that was my question though. Are they getting rid of the screen or are they just getting rid of the touch functionality? So it still displays information, but you still are required to find a button or knob or something to activate.
I think it's
That's my
going to be that.
question.
Well, I'm
because,
wondering
a-
if
a lot of cars require the cameras on the back now. So if you don't have a
Yeah.
screen to see what the camera is,
You gotta have a
Um,
backup cam now, yeah.
yeah,
true.
A
So-
lot of cars now have a camera on you as you're driving.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like that either. And it's kind of weird. Checking to
That's
see
how
if
they're
you're
getting
looking up.
past the impaired requirement of the what was it? One of the rescue bills they did. The Debt Recovery Act or something like that required cars by 2025 to sense if a driver is impaired.
Really? Is that a thing?
Mhm.
In the United States?
Yes.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was
So it's
a
one of those-
legal thing.
Just don't drive
They snuck it
impaired.
in legislation. And it was one of those $2.1 trillion package deals.
Does it call the cops on you.
Nobody knew what it would do.
Huh.
Car manufacturers like, we need more guidance on this. What do I do with this?
Oh, I guess we're in
And
2025. So yeah, we don't know yet.
well, the cameras are now pointed at you, and the car will ding at you if you're impaired. And
Hmm.
most of the cars nowadays will start blinking hazards and pull over to the side of the
All
road
over.
automatically.
Yeah, I've seen those commercials. Or I don't know if
So
they were commercials or horror films, but
I like that because I've seen some horrific accidents from somebody who's gone incapacitated behind
true.
a car in cruise control. Like,
Yeah.
those go
Well, and
bad.
I've heard of people having heart attacks while they drive, and
Mhm.
it turns fatal. It's actually not the heart attack that killed him. It was the impact with everything else that he hit when he ran off the road because he was not able to drive, kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
I was watching a car in front of me on the highway. I'm driving through Texas, and somebody went from I'm in the fast lane. Somebody went from 2 lanes over, just slowly cut me off with just a couple feet to spare. It's like, "Okay, I guess you're in front of me now." And he didn't stop into my lane. He just kept going, hit the concrete barrier between, lanes, between
Oh
the
no.
directions, and his car hopped up taller than my car,
Oh my gosh.
wow.
right in front of me, and, oh my goodness, I don't think I've ever held a steering wheel as tight as I did that day.
Wow. I mean, was he okay? Did he totally flip or like
Didn't flip, he just hopped up and landed, and then you see him just kinda come to, and he signaled, got over, and slowed down. I just drove past him, and you just see him just, like, physically aware of what just happened, not emotionally aware of what just happened.
Holy moly.
It's
Well,
like,
I'm curious if what they'll start doing is taking some of that information that is on these touch screens, remove it from being a touch screen. I mean, you'll need that screen for probably like, cameras, like backup cameras and maybe some other information that you couldn't display otherwise. But I've been seeing some prototypes and I think there are some uh products on the market with a heads up display on the glass.
I was just going to ask you, like, because I remember there were some developments. This is like even, shoot, 10, 15 years ago. I remember that they were talking about maybe equipping cars with something similar to a heads up display, and a heads up display being like in, I don't know how much it's in commercial aircraft, but in fighter aircraft, they have that where they could keep their focus out the cockpit window, but still have something that visually is telling them things like airspeed and heading direction and, different, just whatever they need to be able to fly the airplane, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. But I also know that, like, would it be distracting and would it take some getting used to? Like, so yeah, I don't know where they're at on that.
Mm-hmm.
What
if
comes
there's
up to me for an issue with that is oncoming traffic at night. If somebody's got their brights on, you can't see your display.
Right.
True.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are some
whatever
definitely
happened
some
to that
instances that
auto?
I've got one, guys, and I'll
Mhm.
tell you, the way it's positioned, it's not an issue. It's the amount of information you put on it that's the problem.
yeah.
So, mine will tell me my speed, and one other thing, I can program that to be like, what's the suggested speed? What's my cruise set to? Um, you know, just real basic information like that. It's very helpful because it keeps your eyes on the road, so you're not looking down and back up, down and back up. So brights from the other cars, not an issue. The only time I've seen it be an issue is, um, when it's all the way off and I'm expecting to see numbers there. It's weird how I'm relying on this car to give me that information on the screen. When I switch over to another car, I find it's actually kind of annoying to have to look down at a different spot. First world problems, guys. Like,
Well, it's also a safety problem.
yeah.
And I think it's why we've got standards across all vehicles, why the turn signal is down goes left, up goes right. It's a standard. You press down on it and you'll signal to go left. You press up on it, you signal go right. It needs to be standardized so that everybody picks up on it, and you don't just have one car manufacturer saying this is how we're doing it, and then another one going, we don't like that way, so we're doing it this way.
If you want a counterintuitive control system, go back to the Wright brothers' original aircraft.
Up was up and down was down.
No. The control that goes left, right is your up, down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You push forward and back to turn left and right.
No.
Yeah,
You have two sticks.
What were they thinking?
It might have been
And they
easier for them
sold
to design it that way back then.
Probably, yeah. Probably the way the pulleys and whatever was designed. Probably made sense to do it that
I
way.
bet all they had to do is just turn one pulley 90 degrees. And it would
True.
have fixed it.
True. No, I say that. I'm like, actually, that doesn't make sense. Why did they do it that way?
Trying to keep weight down.
But I think the biggest thing with the whole going back to the whole step backwards, back to the buttons on the console, I think from a safety perspective, that's where it's coming from actually, is because imagine your screen goes down or your I don't know, your kids throw something in the car, cracks a screen, then you're cooked. Like you can't do anything. There's nothing you can do. So I think going back to those physical buttons is also a huge step backwards that is actually forwards towards
Or
safety.
even the screen works, but the touch input is out, that you can't utilize anything. You're stuck. Yeah.
It's got the equivalent touch
or my
sensitivity
screen.
as those Coca-Cola machines.
And I'm literally looking at my screen that has delaminated on the inside. So the digitizer is now no longer part of the system, and it randomly touches things for me now. So it's great.
Oh.
I've got no touch control of my touch screen, and there's a couple things in the car that it just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, how crazy is that?
Well, power to the engineers that built this. You don't need this touchscreen to drive the car, which is good because I've been doing it for 50,000 miles.
Yeah. I'm curious though about Tesla. Because if you've ever been inside of a Tesla has no console. There is nothing there. It is just a screen. So I mean that's like a huge difference. Like for these other companies, they're just like, okay, we'll just go back to the way we had it.
You can fit all you want anyway, because the cars can drive itself.
It's true.
Anyway. Not that that's
so
safer,
politics
but-
out.
Yeah.
Politics out. I'm very concerned Tesla's not going to be a company in 2 to 3 years.
You think so? I haven't been keeping up with it.
The Cybertruck, you can't turn it back in. There's some recalls, some serious recalls going right now. Like the main metal beam just outside the driver's door is delaminating. Nobody wants to take them as a return because that's a quick and easy way out of future recall issues. So the resale value is tanking on those things.
Yikes.
And with the number of issues that they're having,
nobody else wants
the
to buy one.
buyers, they're drying up. So it was a good idea.
I still see one or two of them around town here. Amazingly enough, I never would have thought that Cheyenne, Wyoming would be a place where anybody would actually buy a Tesla Cybertruck, but there you go. There are a couple that drive around here. I do still see. I just saw one like 2 days ago.
It's a cool idea, but Jackson, much to your point, it's so basic on the interior, and it's so costly to fix it. Oh my goodness, that screen breaks. It's got to be thousands. My screen here costs $3,500 to fix.
Holy moly!
Yeah, that's why I've gone 50,000 miles with it broken. just
it's not worth it.
I got to find a wholesale site for digitizers and a YouTube video and a free weekend.
Well, that's never happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever want free time, don't start a company. Well, more to the point, I can't be down a car. Like, if I take this apart, I'm not able to drive the car.
That's true.
So, I don't know.
Additionally, if you
plan
put
that
it
one.
back together wrong, you still don't have a car.
Car drives you.
Hey, going back to my point I made last week, everything's moving digital, including cars, and
Yeah.
you can just break them. They just, you know. And it's not like we're gonna go back to analog. I mean, all the buttons that they do put on these cars moving forward, they're all gonna be digital anyway. But
Digital input, yeah.
I could not
Let's
imagine
talk.
digital control over your events.
Well, how about this? What if you have to log into your car?
I forgot my password.
No.
Auto reporting
2FA?
as stolen.
Hey, car theft would virtually disappear if you had to 2FA into your car.
I'm pretty sure somebody would hack it.
Yeah.
Password recovery.
I mean,
Hurry
you,
and
you look
send
at
it. I'm late
you-
for my appointment.
you look at the way that a
I'll
lot of the
text
car
them.
manufacturers have dealt with security in the car. I mean, somebody able to hack a vehicle from 60, 70 miles away and turn it off. I mean,
It's crazy.
Maybe I'll just start taking the bus, the train.
No, they'll hack that too.
Brain would be a lot more resilient, I think, because a lot of those you don't need to have the you can't remote into them.
They can.
The actual control systems for the train.
Come on, Mike. You're the expert here.
I don't know enough about them. I know there are remote control locomotives out there, controlled by ground people on the ground with a big controller box. There probably could be a way to hack into those. I'm sure that they've locked those down pretty secure because having runaway locomotives. I mean, we've seen movies. That's the worst case scenario, but even in the best case scenario, it's going to cause a lot of damage and potentially hurt a lot of people. So I'm sure those are pretty locked down. I don't know the technology enough. I've never actually worked with a remote control locomotive, but I know that the technology's out there and it's been in use for 20 plus years. I mean, I remember seeing signs around railroad yards about remote control locomotives in operation even since the late 90s at least.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and that's a whole other topic too. I mean, self-driving cars, it's like, here we are, we're talking about something where, okay, we've designed something and our human drivers are becoming distracted by it. So now we got to make a change back so that they're not as distracted and that it's simpler to use and it functions and it's kind of more of a fail safe that, if something breaks, it's only this one little thing that breaks instead of the whole thing that breaks. And then some people may say that the answer is like, and we kind of touched on it, like with like maybe a Tesla or self-driving car or something. Well, let's just take the human out of the driver's seat, so that way that the car is completely responsible for getting you from A to B. And they've even looked at doing this for airplanes and trains and taking the human element out. I don't know. I don't know if it's safer. There's a part of me that says that I think there's more risk because of what we just talked about being able to hack into that system, somebody compromising that system, and then you don't know who they are, where they are, and they have control of it to take it who knows where and do who knows what with it.
The only place I could see, well, I should say the first place I could see automated systems taking over transportation would be the distribution center to distribution center trucking.
Mm-hmm.
Truck gets loaded up. It doesn't have to unload anything. You just send it on its way because it's going to drive without ego. It's going to drive following all the rules of the road. And most
Stay
of
in
the
the right
exceptions
lane.
can be programmed
Please
in.
stay in the right lane and not drive in the leftmost lane so I can. Sorry.
The one that the sign
Passing the other
says that
truck by 2 miles an
trucks,
hour.
the one that says that trucks are not supposed to drive in this lane, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, that one. That's the lane,
That-
actually.
That lane.
That lane.
So they're already doing that in Texas right now, but at the same time, they also have a driver in each one of those vehicles just in case something goes wrong. They're doing trials right now. And it's just for a stretch
That'd be
along
interesting.
a
I don't
highway
know.
between.
Here's the thing. I have a problem with that too, though, because if the human person driver is only just sitting there to monitor, I have a problem with that because now the person is going to get bored and he's going to fall asleep.
You
And-
remember, Mike? I gotta say it. You remember the time back in class? I'm sure you heard your teacher say to some student, "You will never get paid to stare out that window."
Yeah. And here he is.
AI has created that job.
Hey, Mr. Jones, guess what? I'm getting paid to stare out the window. You never thought I'd make it, but here I am. I'm living proof. Living the dream, man. Living the dream.
And then you hold up your phone. Oh, and I have a calculator with me all the time.
Yeah.
We solved two of the kids' most critical problems when we were growing up. We always have a calculator, and people are now getting paid to stare out the window.
That's been the motive for technological advancement this whole time. I wish I had remembered that. Oh.
Oh, that's great. Well, speaking of back in the day, well, we got two stories here. We could jump. We got just a few minutes left. Do we want to talk about the ID catastrophe that's going on in the world right now, where you got to do digital IDs and sign into the websites? Or do we want to talk about streaming over dial-up?
Streaming over dial-up. That's my vote.
Sounds fun.
Oh my goodness. So, Jackson, have you ever had to suffer with a modem?
I haven't, actually.
Poor kid.
Yeah, okay, so you know Web 1.0, right?
Yeah.
It's basic text, it's a couple pictures, it's the most rudimentary presentation of information. Well, back in the day, that's all we could do. 56K per second lets you download an MP3 in 5 minutes. It takes you longer to download than it does to play. And 56K was the top of the top. It was usually like 12K modem, 28.8 modem, 36 became a thing for a little bit, and then 56 hit. And it took years to get those steps going up.
And that's even if your phone line supported those speeds. Like I had a
buddy growing up.
56K and all I ever got, oh geez. I don't think I got anything above 28.8.
I had a buddy that he grew up out in the country, and all he got was 24,000. Not 2,400. He had a 56K modem, and he only got 24,000 baud out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he got on this kick. He was the first one to introduce me to this. Used two modems to dial up the internet.
On two phone
Windows
lines.
had a tool that lets you trunk together multiple lines. It's multi-line. You have to have an ISP that supports it. Not all of them did. But when you do, that's gold, because he was able to get 3 phone lines put together in his house. And so he was surfing the internet at 76,000 bits per second, which was faster than any of us could do it.
Yeah, I remember back in the day, the term bonding was used a lot more back then. Bonded lines. Wow.
We called it shotgunning.
Yeah.
And there's actually a modem that you could buy. I don't remember the manufacturer, might be US Robotics. Had 2 modems in it, and they called it the Shotgun Express or something like that.
Oh, wow.
It lets you dial up 2 phone lines at the same time and bond them together into one connection.
That's
It
awesome.
was great. So, fun story. We were out at one of our tech competitions. We took over a hotel, the whole Technology Student Association. We took over a hotel. It was in mid construction, so me and my buddy Jeremy, we got his multi-line system set up, and we went down the hall and plugged into different rooms' phones with his modem. And so we had 4 lines going out the hotel to the internet, and we were surfing the internet at basically 256K connection.
Nice.
And then we set up a LAN and shared that out to everybody, and then speed tanked from there because we're all sharing effectively 4 modems. So you get 10 people on that, it's just not effective. But we had the fastest thing. While they were in construction, we ended up duct taping the phone lines down the hall. We taped the cable down and blended it right in with the construction duct tape. Nobody knew it was there. We were there for 3 days.
That's awesome.
So there's a YouTuber. I actually just saw this a couple days back. Jackson, you might know who it is. You might have the credit there.
The serial port.
The serial port. They've been resurrecting old technology, like the old ISPs. They recovered a multi-trunk system. It's escaping me. Basically, it's 48 modems in a box.
Mm-hmm. To handle the
plug it in.
dial-in. Yeah.
And it just handles through copper lines. It gives connection out to everybody. And so they terminated their own copper lines, and they got a whole bunch of old, the external 56K modems.
Mm-hmm.
So they got 12 of those put together and dialing into the internet at the same time. They're hosting their own internet.
Right.
And then they get a computer from the time frame, 2004, and set up multi-serial ports, and then using the most possible browser, most capable browser that could still get to YouTube today. They went onto YouTube, went onto their channel, and played one of their videos across 12 modems dialed into their ISP, and it worked great.
At what resolution and what frame rate?
240p, I think 15 frames.
Oh, so each modem got a frame. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like 600 kilobaud. 600. What was the
600
speed they got to, Jackson?
668 kilobytes per second. Kilobits, sorry. Lower
Just short of, or just over half a megabit. Right.
Yeah.
They effectively had half a T1.
On dial-up modems. That's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would have been fun to play with back in the day to get that kind of speed. I mean, that would be some serious speed back then. But for anything we do now, good grief.
Challenge back then was saturating out your ISP's ability to receive calls.
Right.
The multi-line users were the ones that were the bane of the existence of ISPs, because Jackson, when you're size planning an ISP, you would buy 1 modem for every 7 paying customers. And that was a general rule.
Because not all 7 are going to be on at the same time, heaven forbid.
Right.
And the worst part of it, when modems started to take off, when the internet, AOL and all that started really ramping up, the phone company had a nightmare because their connection to all the houses was based off of a similar calculation. Instead of 1 modem per 7 users, it was based off of number of hours of user time, phone time, to provide the trunks from your central office to the main facility. Mike, do you remember what the average phone call length was before modems?
No idea.
The average was 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And so they would
I can
size
see
the
that.
trunk lines going from town to town based off of that number. And so once modems hit, now people are on for hours instead of minutes.
Or, yeah, I was going to say it'd be at least a half hour. That's the funny thing too, is because back in the day when you first had bulletin board systems, and a lot of these system operators, just to get started, I mean, you have to have an extra phone line that's separate from your voice line, so a data line. But even at that, that only handles one call at a time. So you would call, it'd be busy, like, okay, I gotta wait. Somebody else is already on. Wait for that person to get off. You finally get a ring, it answers, you're on. The bulletin board systems were set up that each user had a time limit that they could be online. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Paying users obviously get a little bit more. And so as a system operator, you could make a little bit of money that way, but to be on for hours and hours like we are on the internet now, just browsing and scrolling and surfing and everything, that was unheard of back then because you had to free up the resources to allow other people to use it. So there was a limit to it, and now it's virtually unlimited.
So Jackson, we're envious of the way you grew up. You have internet in your phone.
Maybe he should be envious of the way we grew up.
I don't know. I grew up with touchscreens in my car.
That's one of the things your generation and younger are not going to know the struggle that we went through in just the general adoption of technology. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. What do you think, Mike?
I am a little on the side of it's a bad thing. I think for me to truly appreciate what you have right now, you have to know what it evolved from. There's so many people right now that when you say, describe to me using a computer, it's moving this mouse thing around, pointing and clicking on little pictures and that. To say that I have to type the commands on a keyboard, that's like really foreign to a lot of people still, the majority of people, unless you're in the tech industry and that's something you do on a regular basis. But the general public, that's not how they use a computer. They don't type in commands. And anymore now, with the way my kids are growing up, they talk to it. Hey, Google, or whatever, hopefully I didn't set off anybody's devices there, but they speak to it and ask it a question and it responds and it answers. There's not even using this thing anymore.
I'm reminded when you say that of
Neuralink.
I'm reminded when you say that of yes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear Jackson's counterpoint before you jump in on that, Artie.
Oh, all I was going to say, just wait for Neuralink.
Oh.
You don't even have to
all right,
talk.
Artie.
It feels like a waste now, but Star Trek 4 explaining how to use the computer to Scotty when he's sitting down at the manufactory.
Right, that's exactly right. He's used to, I talk to it, and we have a conversation, and we get work done. And that is what we're starting to evolve into now with all this AI, is that we can now have a conversation with our computer and say, okay, we're going to start this project. Here's the framework, and go from there.
Big difference is that the computer that he was used to conversing with would not tell him to add paste to pizza as a replacement for cheese.
Right.
Well, we should all beware of our future robot overlords. We welcome our future robot overlords. But love to hear our viewers comment on some of this stuff. Did you grow up with a modem? Did you grow up with DSL? Did you grow up with Starlink? Be interesting to hear the perspectives. Tell us your favorite story of dial-up, because, oh my goodness, I've got some war stories that maybe we'll get into on some after-hours podcast sometime. But until next time, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
I'm Jackson.
And I'm glad we don't use dial-up anymore.
Right? Gosh, that reminds me of a TV commercial. Aren't you glad you... Never mind. See ya, everybody.